What is going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show. Let me make sure I got my regular voice and not my touch on 2 times Tommy voice for this live stream. I want to thank everybody for rocking with After Prison Show and for joining us on this live stream. Joe's looking extra daddy as fuck today in this live stream because of the fact that I cannot see. I got to have these glasses on so I can read chat. And as you see in the background, we have we've got the TV screen back here. That's going to be part of the interview that is coming on this live stream. We're going to be doing it live. Porky the Pine, shout out to you. Hype for the interview. APS Lifer, shout out to you, man. Shout out to everybody else rocking with us on this Friday afternoon. It's 4 p.m. where we are. What time is it where you guys are? Let me know because, again, just thank you for being with us. JL, get him out of that shithole. Shout out to you, JL. Thank you for that. I got a major announcement that's going to be coming in this live stream. I've actually got a few announcements that are going to be coming in this live stream. We're going to get to those momentarily. But I'm going to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about this live interview that we're going to be doing on the live stream. There's another prison YouTuber by the name of RDAP Dan. I like this guy a lot. Me and him have talked quite a bit throughout time. And I really got a lot of respect for what this guy does out there. He's got a really small YouTube channel, but the guy is doing major things. This is a guy that went to prison and then came home from prison and is now helping people who are either going to prison or prisoners themselves. He's got a really crazy story to tell. We're going to be interviewing him live here on this live stream. If you guys have questions that you may want to ask, you'll be able to do so. I hope we're able to do that. Beer Chimp, what's going on? Which is so hyped for this interview. Hashtag APS Lifer, hashtag Free Dave. Let's go ahead and get to the number one announcement that I need to make on this live stream, and that is the fact that today we just went and paid Dave's paid lawyer in full, the full amount of what this actually cost. It was an arm and a leg. It was more money than we raised on the last live stream. I know a lot of people asked, how much did the lawyer cost? It was a lot. That's the most that I want to say about that. But Dave now officially has this lawyer paid in full on his case for when he goes to this violation hearing on the 1st of September. Hopefully he will be able to get this program that they're talking about, drug court, which a lot of people know is not the greatest of programs to go through. I mean, this is basically like being on probation on steroids, like a few people had commented who have been through this drug court thing. But the good news about this is really this is the only alternative Dave has at this point. You got to remember the prosecutor on Dave's violation hearing is trying to give him 1.5 to 2 years. And all of a sudden now we've got this paid lawyer, super known in the city of Chesapeake where Dave is going to this violation. And yeah, I mean, this guy, he's known in this courtroom and he's going to be able to help Dave out. At least we hope so. So that's definitely the major announcement that I want to give to you guys. One of the major announcements. We got one other thing that I want to talk about. Just recently, I was talking with a fan just yesterday, as a matter of fact, a guy named Jeff from Boston. Really awesome guy. Been through a lot of crazy shit in his life. And this guy's actually sending me videos of him telling his story. And it got me to thinking, I want to start allowing more APS Army, APS family people who rock with this show. If you guys have a story that you want to tell or anything that you might want to contribute to the show, that could be a possibility. I'm almost like looking for After Prison Show correspondence at this point. And this is a big thing that I want to do to try to incorporate all of you into this. I think it's kind of a good thing. I hope you guys think that's a cool idea. And we'll go from there. Like, we'll see how this works. I've got a bunch of videos from this guy, Jeff. He's got some very crazy stories to tell about watching people literally commit suicide in prison. And the way this guy talks, I mean, he's a storyteller. So I'm hoping I can piece this together really well with the videos he sent me. And again, if anybody wants to be an After Prison Show correspondent, that's something that we possibly could do. So I hope those are exciting announcements right there. There's also one other announcement that I can't talk about right here. In fact, it's going to be coming in a video this weekend. And wait until you hear this. You got to understand, me and Cody, we have been busting our ass lately, trying to make sure Dave's got the lawyer squared away and trying to make sure After Prison Show is staying alive. There's so many people who have been commenting saying so many crazy things. I literally cry myself to sleep every night. It's very sad. The real Nuxel, Dave deserves to be free. He absolutely does. He's got a technical violation. it's a messed up situation. But when you violate probation, and this is his second violation, and then on top of that, you're going in front of the same judge who saw you on your first violation, it's not going to be an easy thing to do to convince that judge or the prosecutor in that case that, you know, you have made changes and you are trying to live a better life, even though the reason for your second violation was some bullshit. We're getting ready to get into this interview with RDAP Dan. Again, this is a guy who went to prison, came home from prison, and is now helping people who are either in prison or going to prison. This guy's got a lot of really awesome stuff that he's going to be contributing to this live stream. And again, I want you guys to be a part of that, and that's why we're doing this live. I feel like I'm already sweating. It feels like it's 1,000,000 degrees in here. But neither here nor there. I think this is going to be a really awesome thing. There was one other thing that I wanted to say, and oh yeah, I remember now. I almost forgot. Look, I want to talk real quick because I'm kind of butthurt about this whole situation. Look, I apologize for touching 2 times Tommy. I apologize, okay? I know a lot of people wanted the cooking video, and I feel like I let a lot of people down with touching 2 times Tommy. Double A Antics, shout out to you. But real quick, I do want to ask, you know, did you guys like Touch 'em 2 times Tommy, or did you not like him? Leave me a 1 in the comments section if you rock with Touch 'em 2 times Tommy. Leave me a 2 if we need to go ahead and kill Touch 'em 2 times Tommy right now. So I want to see that, and then as soon as we do that, we're going to dive right into this live stream interview. I said that absolutely wrong. We are going to dive head first into this After Prison Show Friday live stream interview. Good Lord, look at all the ones and a very few twos. Thank you. I see some twos, you know, and I respect everybody's opinion who didn't like Touch 'em 2 times Tommy. I see more twos now. I see a lot of twos. But, you know, look, we wanted to try something different. We're always trying to switch it up. Maybe, you know, we just stick to the basics. I don't know. Cody, can we hit the AC, man? Because I'm talking a mile a minute. I'm talking a mile a minute here, and it's already getting a little warm. I can't even be touching 2 times Tommy right now because I don't have the wig on. It's absolutely ridiculous. Shout out to everybody leaving those 1s and 2s in the comments. Even if you're leaving a 2 and you hated touching 2 times Tommy, I respect that, you know. I want After Prison Show to continue to bring you guys the content that you like and want to watch. And I feel honestly like, you know, experimenting sometimes can be a good thing, and then sometimes experimenting can be an absolute disaster, such as experimenting in prison. Don't do that. But anyways, with all of that being mentioned, again, happy Friday to everybody. Thank you once again for rocking with us on this live stream. It almost sounds like I'm ending this thing. We're getting ready to get into this interview with RDAP Dan, a guy who went to prison and served time in prison. He's going to tell you all about what he went to prison for, how he actually went to prison. This guy went to prison in a very, very crazy way, and what he's been doing since coming home from prison. This guy is a success story, and I hope this motivates anybody who might be watching this, that anything is possible. We've got the old TV in the background where RDAP Dan is going to be joining us. You guys are going to be able to hear him loud and clear. And this is, you know, it's almost like a podcast live stream. We're doing an interview here. This is the first of many more of this type of thing to come. And again, keep in mind, After Prison Show correspondents, you guys could be out there with like the microphone. We're live on location here for After Prison Show, standing in front of a prison where there is a mass riot. What the fuck? I'm using the windscreen. That's not a microphone. Cody, let's go ahead and pull up Mr. RDAP Dan. I should call him RDAP Dan. Dab on them haters.
What's going on, Joe?
What in the hell are you wearing? What? Jim, that says RDAP Dan.
Yes, family, right?
Holy shit, man. I need me a shirt that says APS supports RDAP Dan. That is pretty damn dope right there. Dude, listen, that is a dope shirt right there. I really appreciate you getting that thing right there, man. That's pretty awesome, man.
1995, I can get you one sent right out.
Shout out to that. We got to get the shirt. After Prison Show supports RDAP Dan. But look, man, I greatly appreciate you joining us on this live stream. Did you get a chance to check out the little introduction to it?
I sure did, man. You guys did an amazing job. You always do it.
Hey, dude, I appreciate it, man. So again, look, man, You're an individual who has been to prison, and now since coming home from prison, you're helping all sorts of people out there. There's not a lot of people who go to prison who come home and do anything like that. So I would like for you to explain a little bit of your story. Talk about what led to you getting locked up, and let's just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, sure. So back in 2011, I decided to go work for a company that was opening a pain clinic in Savannah, Georgia. And I really didn't have a whole lot of experience in what a pain clinic really was. I didn't mess with people that did pills. I didn't use pills myself. So when they asked me to go manage this pain clinic, and I told them I had zero experience, and they wanted to transfer me from Florida to Savannah, and agreed to pay for all of my expenses, plus they were going to give me $10,000 a month as a salary, I decided not really to pay a whole lot of attention to any of the other details, because $10,000 a month at that point in my life was a lot more than what I was making. They allowed me to take this job. They allowed me to bring my girlfriend, hire her as a receptionist. They allowed me to bring my best friend and hire him, the guy that kind of goes around and doing your P test and all these things. Long story short, it ended up being a giant scam where basically people were just driving from all over the United States, Kentucky, Ohio, to come see this doctor to get their pain pills, man. It was really just a glorified drug dealing opportunity for the company. And just to throw out there, I never made $10,000 a month. The most I made was about $3,500 a month.
So let's talk about how this working at this pain clinic actually led to you getting locked up.
Well, we opened the pain clinic in January of 2013. January of 2012. 2011, my bad. Horrible with dates. January of 2011. And we were only about 2.5, 3 months before the feds came in heavy. They came in and basically they raided our houses at like 5:30 in the morning. They hit everybody exactly at the same time. And it was the most intense experience I could ever imagine going through. I mean, guns everywhere. There must have been 40 agents deep, from DEA to narcotics to the local police department. FBI was there because they were looking at mail fraud and money laundering and everything else. And I fought it for as long as I could. You know, this happened in 2011, and I was able to bond out. I immediately was taken to jail. I sat in county jail for 2 or 3 weeks. And once I bonded out, we fought it from 2011 to 2013, and then one by one, everybody on the case started taking pleas. And once they agreed to take this plea, part of their agreement was anybody that decided to go to trial, they were required to testify against them.
Right.
And we didn't find this out until after everybody else had already taken their plea. The prosecutor already hated me because they offered me a pre-indictment plea, which I was considering, and then changed my mind. And for those people that don't know what a pre-indictment plea is, that just simply means I hadn't actually been charged yet. They offered me a plea of 60 months if I would be willing to cooperate. And at that point, I was not willing to cooperate because I didn't really think that much of a case. But little did I find out that when the feds come, they didn't come unless they're prepared. So I took a plea later on after everybody else took their plea. 60-month cap was the most time they could have given me, and they ended up sentencing me to 42 months federal prison in Colombo, Florida.
I mean, that's just insanity, right? So you end up getting 42 months in federal prison, but you don't have to go to prison right there, right? You get a chance to actually turn yourself in later, correct?
Yeah, because I was out on pretrial probation, so to speak, for so long, and I didn't have any dirty UAs, didn't give them any issues, they allowed me to do what's called self-surrender. So 60 days after I was sentenced, they allowed me to self-surrender to the actual prison. So I was able to drive myself to prison, which was, I can't even explain what a mental fuck that does to your mind when you're sitting in the car and you're agreeing to drive to turn yourself into prison. I thought at that time was going to be for at least 2.5 to 3 years. I had no idea about RDAP, the Residential Drug Addiction Program that can take time off, which we can talk about later. But a couple of my friends who were the witty type, they thought, hey, let's let these guards know that they're not going to break you, and let's stop at a Halloween store and pick up a prison costume, because this was in September of 2014. So we picked up a black and white prison outfit, and I decided to self-surrender wearing this prison outfit as a joke with a homemade necklace made out of pill bottles around my neck, which was not in the picture. But it didn't go over well. The guards didn't think it was funny. They immediately ripped all my clothes off me, slammed me to the ground, put me in handcuffs, and told me that I was likely that they were going to ship me from the low to the medium security for being such a fucking asshole. And I was scared. I was actually pretty terrified at that point. And not to mention, I was super fucking high. I got as high as I possibly could before going to prison, because without it, I don't think I could have made myself do it.
Right. So you go, I mean, I've never heard of anybody who's going to turn themselves in, who's actually going to a Halloween store, buying the costume, and then walking into a prison wearing an actual prison uniform. And that's the thumbnail that we have for this. I posted this on Instagram, Twitter, where you can see RDAP Dan in this prison uniform going to turn himself in. I just think that's pretty damn hilarious to me, even though it's a shitty situation, knowing that you're going to go turn yourself in to have to do at least, or what you're thinking is years, correct?
Yeah, and it ended up working out to my benefit later on, even though the guards at that moment, they really didn't know how to take me. They thought maybe this guy's going through withdrawals, maybe this guy's just crazy, and we're going to have to keep an eye on him. So they basically put me in what they call a fishbowl. I don't know why its name is a fishbowl, but it's a unit within a unit where there's basically glass. Well, I guess it's called a fishbowl because there's glass windows all around you so they can watch what you're doing. So they put me in this unit with about 8 other guys, and it was pretty intense because these 8 other guys were actually literally crazy. So I had to do what I could do to not make them think that I was nuts. But after all of this said and done, the COs would come up to me and like, what were you thinking? And they would tell me that they've never seen anybody do this. Other inmates would come up to me and ask me, hey, were you the guy that wore the prison costume in? So even though it was a risky move then, it actually played out later on for me to the point where, everybody found it comical. Even the guards, once they saw that I wasn't crazy and I wasn't there to cause problems, it kind of worked out to my benefit in the end. It kind of gave me immediate notoriety throughout the compound of 3,000 inmates. It was a very large compound.
And real quick, because I'm reading a comment right here, somebody was asking me while I was serving time if I was dealing with withdrawals myself, and I wasn't. But you said the guards thought you might be having withdrawals, and you said that you were high when you turned yourself in. Were drugs a part of, your life? Did you have addiction problems? Did you deal with withdrawals or anything like that while you were locked up?
I smoked quite a bit of marijuana. I really didn't I smoked a lot of weed. That was pretty much it. So I wouldn't say I had withdrawals at all because I didn't. But I've never done Molly before. And the night before I left, some friends came over to help me move. And they were like, hey, you should do it. And I didn't want to do it. And I kind of agreed to do it. So I didn't sleep that entire night before I turned myself in. It was a 6-hour ride. So I was completely shot out off of Molly. There was no serotonin left. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? So when I got there, I must have looked like I was probably coming off of heroin or something. But no, I did not have any actual substance abuse, strong addictions other than I like to smoke weed. So no, I didn't have any issues withdrawing.
And this brings up another really interesting question that I want to ask you, but to think about having to turn yourself in to go serve time, thinking that you're going to be gone for a year, 2 years, 3 years, however much time that you're going to be gone for. Tell me what you did the night before. Like, tell me how the last day as a free person went for you. Like, what did you do? What was important that you really wanted to do? Eat good food, sex. Tell me what it was, because you're going to be missing all of these things.
Well, there was definitely no sex. I can tell you that right now. As I told you, and here's a picture. My fiance, Shelly, is.
It's a little blurry
right there.
Can you pull it back a little bit because the light's all on it? We can't really see it because the light's so blurry. We can kind of see it.
Okay,
right there is good. Right there.
My girlfriend, okay, right there.
Yeah, we can.
So
yeah, there we go.
Lag and delay there. I'll just hold it there and I'll chat while I have a picture up for you. How about that? So my girlfriend. She had to self-surrender. She was also part of this indictment. They also gave her time. She was sentenced to 13 months. And I actually drove her to prison 30 days before I went. She actually went to the same prison as me. She just went to the camp where I went to the low. So there was no sex. The night before, the day before, the week before, it was a very surreal feeling. I don't know if you've ever had anybody in your family that was like dying of cancer, and you get to a point where it's like, I almost can't wait for this fucking person to die, because it's the most depressing thing to see ever. You know they're going to go, and it's got you, your mind is just so spun, you don't know what to do to help. So I kind of felt like I was cleaning out the house of somebody that had just passed away. I was packing up stuff. So-called friends were showing up. They're like, oh, what are you going to do with this flat screen TV? And what are you going to do with this? I mean, and they were offering me the most ridiculous lowball prices. So vultures came out of everywhere. It was the worst experience ever, because you felt like life is over, and you don't know what to expect going to prison if you've never been. So you've got this imagination of what prison is, but it's such a dark tunnel that you can't really pin it to anything, that you don't know what to do.
Shout out to you, April, as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, what you said, just like dealing with somebody who's got cancer, I mean, it reminds me of my father. His mother had cancer. She was going for a long time. My father actually said those exact same words to me. It's almost like you're just waiting for them to go. So I can imagine you being in the situation leading up to actually having to turn yourself in. Yeah, I mean, it's just got to absolutely be driving you more and more crazy by the day that passes, and as you get closer to have to actually do that. I mean, it's unbelievable too that you have to go turn your wife in. What did you say? 60 days before you? I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, about 30 days before me.
Oh, 30 days, my fault. I mean, that's just that's crazy. But so you get to prison, you've worn this costume, you've pissed off the guards getting to prison. They see you looking like the crazy man. They're probably thinking you're going to be one of these problem inmates. And you said you were at what? You were at a low-level facility?
Yeah, in the federal system, you have camps, lows, mediums, and pens. And I was at a low security, which is similar to a medium. It's got a giant perimeter fence, barbed wire everywhere. I mean, it looks like what you imagine it looking like on TV.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The people that are there weren't nearly as bad as what I thought they were going to be, like the actual inmates. So
tell us a little bit about what prison life was like for you. Tell us, like, what your experience was like.
I'm not going to lie, my experience wasn't bad. A lot of people imagine prison being probably the worst place on earth. And for me, it was a place where I was able to take a lot of classes, get education, work on fitness. I mean, I went in there weighing 240 pounds, and immediately it started dropping weight to the point where I never would have had this opportunity on the street. I met a lot of really good people in there that I'm still friends with today. In a low security prison, there's not a lot of politics to where blacks and whites, they're allowed to hang out together. You can sit at the table. Everybody's biggest concern when I first got there was you don't look like a drug dealer, you don't look like a gangbanger, and you didn't go to a camp. So why are you at a low security? And I'm like, well, what are you trying to ask me? I didn't understand the question. They're like, so white dudes would come up to me and they would say, look, are you a sex offender? I was like, whoa. I was like, no, definitely not a sex offender. And that's when I realized in a low security prison, out of 3,000 inmates, about 40% of them were actual sex offenders, which was an unreal experience of something that I never thought I would ever live in that kind of environment. It gave me a completely different perspective of that entire world.
Now, let me ask you this question, because, when you hear the word sex offender, I mean, immediately people just think it's time to fight. It's time to just beat these people up. What was the overall, how was their experience from what you saw? You're saying 3,000 people at this prison you're at, 40%, that's almost half of the people there are sex offenders. Are they safe there? Did they feel safe and secure? I mean, what did you see from how their time was there? Did they have problems?
A lot of people that haven't been there or been in that environment will be really quick to say that they would go stomp them or do this and that. But if you're a low security and you do something like that, which would be considered a hate crime, you'd be immediately leveled up into your custody level, and you would go to a medium or a pen, where if you want to live the barbaric life, that's where you're going to go, where you're going to worry about getting shanked and stabbed and raped. So no, the sex offenders really didn't have a hard time there. They kind of stuck to themselves. They had their own groups. Most of them were there for child pornography. There was not a lot of hands-on rape cases. Most hands-on rape cases state happened in, which would mean it's a state case versus a federal case. federal cases like How to Catch a Predator, when you guys see on NBC, Dateline, or whatever. But it became apparent that there's strong addiction.
We got some breaking up going
for these
on
guys to the point where there's an illness and sickness that clearly
Hold on one second, Dan.
overlooked issue in where we live that needs to be dealt with.
Right. Hold on one sec. I don't know why. We just got a little bit of, I don't know, it's just kind of breaking up every once in a while. But so basically you're saying that, you know, I mean, that makes sense, though. You think about that. You know, you've got all these sex offenders running around there. And, I mean, you can go in there and kick their ass and fuck them up. But then you're going off to either a medium or a high, like you said. And life is going to be fucking hell for you there. So, I mean, it's you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't type of a situation. So it's just really interesting to hear how that is like that. I mean, did you see any kind of craziness while you were in there? Whether it be fighting?
Yeah, I did, you know, and yeah, the fights that I saw were very quick. They were over before they got started. One guy was attacked with an iron, like a clothing iron, and he was a small, gay, black guy that went by the name Willis. And giant redneck had just been pushing his buttons, calling him faggot, this and that. The guy waited for him to lay down in his bunk, wasn't looking, took up on him with an iron, and I mean, he made hamburger meat out of this man's face with the side of an iron, just cut into his face and put the nastiest gashes. I thought he was dead. I mean, blood was just everywhere within like a 10-foot radius of that unit.
So you're talking about a small, and I apologize for this. This sound is absolutely crazy. So a little small black guy, a little small black gay dude, gets to fighting a bigger guy, a bigger prisoner, and he's beating him up with an iron. You're saying basically just turning his face into dog meat. I mean, that's just crazy. Think about that. There's a big misconception about just how big a prisoner is if they're going to be the toughest guy in a prison. And I mean, this is just a clear example right here of, you know, it's never really that case. You can never underestimate anybody while on the inside, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, it was definitely the quiet guys that you had to worry about. The quiet, calm-looking guys, because the big mouths that ran around the compound talking shit all day, they were the first ones to run to a CO and start telling on somebody.
Right. I mean, and that's pretty damn spot on for how the state system is as well. You know, this is an interesting interview to be doing for a number of reasons, but also to think about the fact I served 7 years in state prison. You served, how much time did you end up serving in the feds, Dan?
On my 42-month sentence, I ended up only serving 13 months.
And that's because of the programs that you
Big
did?
timer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, still, you're talking, I mean, it's not a lot of time, but shit, a year in prison is enough time for anybody to really get the full experience of what prison can be like. And the reason that you go from 42 months to 13 months is because obviously the feds offer a lot more incentives and programs. And that's a big part of what you deal with right now, which we're going to be getting to. But the state system offers nothing like that. You can't take drug programs in the state and get a year off of your sentence. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. State time, you're doing your 85% or 100% if you mess up. But Dan...
Yeah, it seems like the big difference that I've noticed between state and feds is state offers like a parole program, depending on the state you're in, where you can get a decent amount of time parole, where federal prison, if you qualify, you can take what's called the residential drug addiction program, which I qualified for because of my use of marijuana. And if you have 37 months or more that you're sentenced to, you can get a year off your sentence. And then I also was given 11 months federal halfway house. So I served 13 months in prison, 11 months still in BOP custody, but it was done in a halfway house here in Spokane, Washington.
Let's talk a little bit about that, though. I mean, we're going to kind of jump all around here, but, you know, you said you served 11 months in a federal halfway house, and these halfway houses are no joke. I mean, it's almost like being in prison still. You can just as easily end up right back in prison, and then you're in a freaking house with a bunch of guys, and there's going to be a good majority of these guys who just aren't trying to do right at all, correct? I mean, did you experience anything like that?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it on the head, man. And I don't know if I told you this, Joe, but while I was doing my 11 months halfway house, I actually went back to county for 27 days and almost had my RDAP taken away from me, which would have sent me back to prison for the year plus the 11 months of halfway house for getting a bag of chips out of a vending machine that I paid for, that I ended up smacking the machine around because it wouldn't give me my chips. But a stupid choice that I made at that moment. But they had the U.S. Marshals come pick me up, and they tried to say that I stole the bag of chips, and it took 27 days for them to review that fucking tape to see that I paid for it.
You almost went back to prison over a bag of potato chips that you paid for out of a fucking vending machine, all because you're shaking the vending machine. Where the hell are my Doritos? Give me my Doritos.
And that's pretty much it. I was already in a bad mood. They gave us Chinese food that night. I wanted a bag of hot Cheetos to crumple up and put in my Chinese food, and the machine, my food got stuck, and I started beating it up a little bit, and one of the guys that works there looked at the video and said that I was vandalizing the machine, trying to steal chips. And a lot of guys did do that. A lot of guys actually were trying to steal stuff out of there. But I was just the guy that got nailed, and 3 days later, they wouldn't let me go to work that morning, and I knew something was up. U.S. Marshal showed up, put me in the brought me to Spokane County Jail. That 27 days was by far worse than the entire 13 months that I spent in prison.
I can believe it. You're sitting in jail over a bag of potato chips for 27 days, almost a month, and you paid for the damn thing. So that's, I mean, and you know, that's just like that story right there just absolutely highlights how easy it is while in these halfway houses to get tricked up over something that you didn't even fucking do in the first place and end up going right back. I mean, it's just, you know, this type of stuff happens or can happen more often and more easy than people may think. So it's just really crazy. But okay,
and it just goes to show it's one of the struggles that I've always struggled with is compulsive reaction to where the right move would have been, you know what, they ate my fucking chip. It's not the end of the world. Let me go tell somebody and let them know that the machine's stealing money, and that would have been the end of it. But because I allowed myself to overreact, and you're under a microscope, you're not out in the real world where beating up a vending machine is not that big of a deal. When you're still in custody, you're still under house arrest, you're still with probation, the littlest, seemingly unimportant decisions can completely fuck you up, and that's what sends people back to jail every single day.
You know, you say that it's not that big of a deal out here in the real world beating up a vending machine, but I guarantee you, if somebody's out there beating up a fucking vending machine, they're probably going to end up on World Star. I'm just telling you, everything fucking ends up on World Star these days. Man beats up a vending machine over a bag of potato chips. Must watch.
That's my next mission. I've already conquered AfterPrisonShow. Now
you're on the World Star?
World Star will be next.
Just go find you a fucking vending machine. I mean, obviously you got a problem with vending machines, but you know, you talk about your compulsive nature. Like, I mean, did you have any problems while in prison? Any situations where you had to fight? Anything like that? Did you ever find yourself snapping in there and it lead to a bad situation, or could have led to a lot worse?
A couple of times there were some close encounters, and I was so mindful of the program I was in, RDAP, that anything like that would have immediately removed me from the program. But I was on the handball court. We didn't have rackets, so we had to use our hands with the racquetballs. And I accidentally, when I hit the ball, it shot straight sideways and smashed a black guy in the face. And he was an older guy, and he looked, and clearly he saw it was an accident, but everybody around started egging it on. So you're going to let this white boy punk you out like that, and this and that. So it kind of forced him to puff up and square off, and my mentality went right there too, because everyone's yelling at me, saying, you know, this guy's like pushing 60 years old. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was in hell of good shape for 60 years old. But at the same time, I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm about to lose my fucking ardor over this nonsense. And I know this guy doesn't want to fight me. I don't want to fight him. But we're both being egged on by a bunch of fucking idiots. So I ended up just saying, I put my hands up and I just walked off. And really, you know, people were calling me names about walking off, but 30 minutes later, it was a non-issue.
Right. I mean, sometimes you got to be the bigger man, and in prison, it is absolutely, a lot of times, it's absolutely impossible to be the bigger man, especially when everybody's seeing the situation take place. And that's all they want anyways, is they just want to see something happen. Prison is so full of drama, and you're bored out of your mind. So violence definitely keeps people occupied, and egging shit on is a good way to get to that violence. I mean, it's good that you were able to negate that situation. But, yeah. So let's talk now about you coming home, because obviously this is the most important thing to this. You serve these 13 months, 11 months in the halfway house, 13 months in federal prison, and then you come home from prison. Let's talk about you coming home from prison. I mean, obviously you're leaving from the halfway house, but let's talk about you actually coming back out into the free world. What was that like for you?
It was insane, man, because remember, I did my time in Florida and I changed my address to Washington before I left prison. So the BOP got me a plane ticket, a taxi, all of the travel. They took care of all of that and basically paid for me to hop on an airline and fly to Washington. So just getting to the airport, and even though it was only 13 months, just being able to walk around in regular clothes and just see how busy people were and how focused they were on like their cell phones or in their conversations, and it was kind of overwhelming. It was like my first day going to Walmart, and they let me go out to a Walmart pass to get some hygiene. They gave me an hour, and I was so stressed that I wasn't going to get back to the halfway house in time that I wasn't able to get half the shit that I went there for. It was just a super intense, overwhelming feeling of just a bunch of nerve endings all tingling at the same time. It's definitely not a feeling that I enjoyed. It didn't last very long, thank God.
Yeah, so it's almost like anxiety. Shout out to you, Big Steen, as well. Good time, big time supporter of After Prison Show. Said nice shirt, Dan. Definitely a lot of people enjoying seeing RDAP Dan supporting After Prison Show the way that he is with that T-shirt, man. That's an awesome shirt again. But no matter what, I mean, even go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But no matter what, with the amount, I mean, even though you only served 13 months and then an additional 11 months in the halfway house, just being cut off from society for the most part, being cut off from phones, being cut off from everything, that amount of time right there is enough for you to just be completely overwhelmed coming back out into society, especially going to an airport or Walmart, anything like that, and just seeing, like you said, how busy everybody is, how much nobody's paying attention to shit except for what's, basically on their phones or, to themselves. The anxiety from that situation definitely can be overwhelming.
Yeah, not a fan of it at all, man. And that's kind of why I got into this first place. Before I went to prison, I posted a video up on YouTube, titled it "Going to Federal Prison." I didn't know who to talk to, didn't know what questions to ask. My friends and family, of course, were all like, "Oh, the judge is going to see you're a really good guy, and they're not going to send you to prison." And I had already come to terms at that point that was complete bullshit, that I was going to prison. So I was sick of hearing that. So I turned to YouTube, posted a video, and once I got released from prison in the federal halfway house, I checked my email and just saw thousands of comments on this one video. And what blew my fucking mind is almost every comment was somebody that was in a similar situation to me, both men and women, that were getting ready to potentially go into federal prison, that have never been to prison before, so they didn't know what it was going to be like. And they were so freaked out. And I remember prior to going, calling several different prison consultants that were out there, almost every single one of them. And the minute I told them I didn't have $10,000 to $15,000 for their fee, they would either immediately hang the phone up on me or tell me, "Well, you're probably going to end up in a very rough prison. You're not going to qualify for any of the programs. You're going to serve at least 85% of your time. So if I were you, I would go beg, borrow, or steal to get that money." And it was just a complete turnoff because there was nothing I could do. I didn't have it.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute, all of that. Let's work up to that, though. Okay, you get to Washington where you're at after being released. Let's talk about what your life is like immediately upon getting to Washington, with you trying to get back into society, finding works. Walk us through this.
Yeah, so I'm from Palm Beach County, Florida, where I've had several sales jobs, call centers, telemarketing, where you can make a decent living in sales on commission base, whatever it is. When I got to Spokane, Washington, and I pulled up to the halfway house, I swear to God, I thought this can't be a place. It looked like a muffler shop, like a mechanic, just a solid building with no windows. And when they brought me inside, all I thought to myself was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I got to be 11 months in this place. There's no windows. There's one small little TV up in the corner. Nothing to do. I don't know anybody." I'm thinking to myself, why did I come here instead of Florida? And I immediately thought I made this horrible decision. It was really hard finding a job at first. Being a felon, doesn't give you the easiest time going out to get a job. But B, when you're in the federal halfway house, even if you get somebody willing to interview you, before you can go work there, somebody from the halfway house has to drive out there to the potential employer and say, hey, you know this guy is a felon. This is why he went to prison. Do you still want to hire him? So you've got that mental roadblock already going, no one's going to fucking hire me if they got to go through all of this. So it was a real mental tripwire that I had to overcome before I could actually just go get a job, which I ended up getting.
What kind of job did you end up getting while you were at the halfway house?
Man, I'm extremely lucky, man. I'm blessed to have an amazing friend by the name of Casey Cochran, who owns a business in Florida called Fit Food Fresh. It's like a healthy meal delivery to your doorstep. And he gave me a job working from Spokane, doing customer service and sales in Washington. Basically, my schedule was from like 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, but he kept me on the payroll until 9 o'clock at night, which gave me all that additional time to myself, which is how I was able to get into YouTube, because I had 6 hours to myself a day to sit in my own little office doing my own thing.
Dude, I mean, that's an opportunity that nobody ever gets. So, I mean, that was just a blessing in itself right there. When you get released from, go ahead.
Oh, he was also my partner in the call center that we had. So me and him have always had an amazing bond and a relationship. So he was 100%. The minute they gave him the green light to hire me there, it was good.
Well, let's talk about after you get released from the halfway house, and let's move more toward into what you're actually doing now to help guys who are going to prison and guys who are in prison, prisoners themselves. But let's talk about leading up to that. Can we get to that?
Yeah, let's do it. So while I was in the halfway house, I had this job and I had all this time to myself. They started letting me go home on the weekends for like 48-hour passes. I had to wear this big nasty ankle monitor that looked like a garage door opener. Everywhere I went, 24/7. Hideous. But I started just posting videos on YouTube to respond to the people that were asking me what would prison be like. Never had any intention of becoming a prison consultant or turning it into a business. I just thought it would be easier to post a video and talk about the experience than it would be just to type it out. So I just started posting response videos, and before I knew it, people were calling me and emailing me and asking me, how did you take a 42-month sentence and only serve 13 months? Are you able to help us do the same thing? And I was doing all this for free initially, but it became to the point where it got so busy with all of the calls and the emails and the questions that I had to make a decision. Either continue working for my friend, which I appreciated the job, but I didn't have passion about it, or quit my guaranteed salary and take a job, maybe making money, helping people get ready to go to prison. So it was a hard struggle because I had to get the halfway house to approve this. I had to get my probation officer to approve this. And they all looked at me like, are you out of your fucking mind? You want to talk to potential felons while you're in a halfway house? How does that even make sense? But they started watching my YouTube videos and immediately saw that I was not there just to bash the system.
Right.
I was there to just try to do what I could do to help people understand where they were going to go. And I got lucky, man, in a lot of ways. I'm blessed.
So you actually started helping people who were preparing for prison while you were still in the halfway house. I didn't even realize that. I mean, that's pretty fucking remarkable right there. And then to have the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, actually sign off on this and allow you to do this while in the halfway house. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, man.
Yeah, I've got nothing but encouragement from the BOP, from the halfway houses in the area, from my probation officer. There's been a couple of news articles done on me, and my probation officer basically calls me up and he says, look, man, I'm not going to drug test you anymore. Just report to me once a month. Send me in your paperwork. Let me know what you're doing with money. I think what you're doing is amazing. I wish I was allowed to send our caseload to you, but it's a conflict of interest. But I think what you're doing is going to explode because what you're doing is being done for the right reasons. So, and that's what this whole thing is based on, man, is it's great that I can make a living doing what I love, but it wasn't started for that purpose. So I keep that in mind. I charge a fraction of what all these other guys out in the industry charge, just because I don't want to only be able to help people that can afford 10 or 15 grand. There's a million other people that were just like me that are thinking about committing suicide, thinking about running, thinking prison that they're going to get raped and shanked and all these other things that just isn't the reality for the type of people that are watching my YouTube channel.
Now, since we've already gotten to this point of what you're actually doing to help individuals to prepare for prison, you know I have to throw this in there because, you know, it seems like you're a guy who's preparing people to go to prison. You know, there was a movie that was really similar to this sort of a thing. You know, it's called Get Hard with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. So you're basically, in so many words, you're the Kevin Hart from Get Hard, trying to prepare all the Will Ferrells out there for what time is actually going to be like when they got to go serve time.
In a sense, yes, I get that a lot. The big difference is I'm not teaching people how to fight. I'm teaching people how to prepare their personal narratives, their character reference letters, how to prepare for their PSR interview, which is basically a package that gets delivered to the judge that recommends how much time the judge should give you. So we help people prepare for that interview process and just the mental state of mind of where they're at and the anxiety, the sleepless nights. You know, anybody that's watching this right now, if you imagine that all of a sudden today you found out you're under federal investigation, and there's a good chance you're going to go to prison, you're going to have a lot of fucking sleepless nights to where anxiety is just beating you up. And then you start blaming everybody. You think the government's out to get you. You start blaming the person that maybe told on you. But once you start taking the responsibility, you say, look, man, at some point I made some kind of a dumb fucking choice. I put myself into this situation. You can start to grow and heal and actually look forward to what's coming and turn it into an experience instead of a prison sentence.
You know, I understand what you're saying. And yeah, of course. But how do you prepare somebody to go to prison who's facing, 20 years? How do you mentally prepare? Do you deal with individuals like that who might be facing that much time? I mean, talk about some of the time frames of these individuals that you do help. You do the mentoring for.
Sure. So I had a client by the name of Todd Hansen. He was looking at 30 years. That's how much time he was looking at. It was for embezzlement. It was for wire fraud, Medicare fraud, South Florida case. It was like 30 people wrapped up in the indictment. He ended up hiring 2 other prison consultants that he paid a combined fee of $15,000 to help him get ready, prepared for prison. Now, not just to get ready for a 30-year sentence, but what he could possibly be doing to reduce the potential 30-year sentence. So after he hired these guys, they helped him out with a couple of letters. And then every question he had after that, it was go check out a YouTube video that they had, some bullshit. They didn't want to stop taking his calls. Todd found my video, and we started talking. And what I came to realize real quick is that he had not taken any responsibility for what he had done yet. He was just playing the victim, trying to find a way to take a shortcut to get out of it. So we had Todd start working on his own situation. He started doing community service. He had a $100,000 truck that we had him go trade in for like a $6,000 car, use that money to give back towards the people that lost money. Started building strong personal narratives, character reference letters. This man had over 1,000 hours of community service logged by the day of his sentencing. So as he was doing all of this, they then reduced his potential 30-year sentence to a 17. He ended up taking a 17-year plea at sentencing because of everything that he did to prepare for his sentence. The judge told the prosecution, there's no way I'm giving this man 17 years. Dropped it all the way down to 9 years, which still seems like a shitload of time. When you go from 30 to 17 to 9 years, the judge is telling you it's because of what you did, and he references your letters, he references your community service. He came on YouTube and did this amazing shout out to me on an interview telling me that, I hired these other guys for $15,000 that didn't do shit for me. I gave you $1,000 because I was broke and I had no money left. And you've done more for me. You've answered calls at 2 a.m. in the morning. You help with my wife. You let me know when I'm starting to have this shitty thinking and I'm dwelling on all of these things that are outside of my control, and you keep me focused. So we come up with exercises, man, to make sure that people are dealing with their families right, talking to their kid, not just saying, oh, poor me. It's different for everybody.
I mean, that is so much of what you just said right there is just absolutely unbelievable to me. You've got a guy facing 30 years who is paying these other prison consultants. I got to say something. I didn't even know what prison consulting was until I saw Get Hard with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was a joke, to be honest with you. But then once I met you and we started talking about things, you know, you're telling me what you're doing, but you're also telling me, you know, you're educating me on all of these other people who are basically out there just extorting these people, charging $15,000, charging all of this damn money to basically do absolutely nothing for them. And in this individual's case that you were talking about, facing the 30 years for like $1,000 in comparison to what he's already spent with everybody else, you've actually done a lot of things and helped him do a lot of things to reduce that sentence by more than, I mean, shit, I don't even know, by a lot though, from 30 years to 9 years.
By a lot.
I was going to try to do some math right there, but, you know, Joe's not too good at thinking these days. But, I mean, that's unbelievable, man. And how many people do you help? Like, how many people have you helped prepare for prison?
Well, I mean, if you're only talking about people that have hired me, you know, we've got a few hundred on our caseload, but the videos that I put out, it's not just sales pitches on these videos. It's giving you the tools on what you need to do to prepare yourself, because I realize not everybody can afford even what I charge, $1,500. There's people out there that can't afford anything. We just took on a lady last week that's local here that saw what the news article put on. She has no money, called me up, told me her situation. We take on a couple of free people every month, so we put her into the pool. She's not going to pay anything, man. So we've helped, I guarantee you, we've helped thousands of people right now just with this amazing ability to interact with people through YouTube. Without YouTube, this wouldn't exist. Without the amazing supporters that I have that follow my channel, that are there every week, in and out for the live chats that we do, without them, I would be talking to a fucking camera with nobody on the other end. So it's because of the love and the support and communities and people helping people that this is able to grow into something that it's become.
And you know, real quick, I want to pause for a second, and I want to talk to everybody who's watching this. Look, RDAP Dan, this guy does a hell of a lot of really good stuff for people who are preparing to go to prison. If you guys don't know who this guy is on YouTube, I mean, he's got a smaller channel, but I definitely encourage all of you to go subscribe to RDAP Dan. I like this guy. I've got a hell of a lot of respect for him. I'm going to have Cody spam the chat so you guys can find this guy. RDAP Dan on YouTube. Check this guy out. I mean, he's doing a lot of really good work out here to help people. I think if you serve time in prison and then you come home and you try to do something positive, I ain't got nothing but respect for you. And this guy right here, I mean, a prime example of it, what you're doing, Dan. You know, to be honest with you, again, I never even had heard of prison consulting at all. And to be able to do this, starting this out while you're in a federal halfway house, again, getting the blessing of the federal system to even do this, your probation officers on board with this, and then to be able to help the countless people that you have, that's just got to be an amazing feeling for you, right?
It's by far the most gratifying job that I've ever had, because I don't see it as a job. I'm very fortunate. I get to make YouTube videos. I get to talk to people about experiences. The big thing for me, Joe, is it's very easy for me to result back to old ways of thinking, criminal thinking or shitty thinking or taking shortcuts. And by talking to people on a regular basis that are going through it, it's a fresh reminder of where I've been. I mean, the bracelet I wear, they have different color-coded bracelets that you're issued in RDAP as you level up. So I wear my RDAP bracelet every day. I've never taken it off since I've been out of prison. And the biggest criticism I get from people is, who are you to help somebody else go into prison when you only spent 13 months in federal prison? I can't argue with that fact. But the one thing I can say back to that is there's thousands of people that have served way more time than me. Why the fuck aren't they out there trying to get back if they're so concerned with why somebody that's only done 13 months? I would love to see you get engaged and start helping people prepare for prison. I mean, I guarantee there's people watching your show that at some point in their life are going to face some serious shit that aren't going to know what to expect. You've been there, brother.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate you saying so. I just wouldn't even know the first thing to do with that. But let's talk about RDAP? Because, I mean, your name's Dan. RDAP is the program in federal prison that you go through. I don't even know what the hell it is. But just explain to me and to everybody else what RDAP actually stands for and what it is and what it does.
So RDAP stands for Residential Drug Addiction Program. Just because you get in the program does not mean you're going to make it through the program. It is a 10-month inpatient program where you are moved from your housing unit to a different housing unit, which is comprised of only people that are within the program. So I was in this program with 150 other guys, and there's different phases. You have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Not everybody's in the same phase. You're in a group of people. I had about 30 people that were in my group that started with me. And what I learned real quick, Joe, was because I thought this was going to be a walk in the park, being I don't have real addiction problems, I use my marijuana to get into the program. But what I found is the program has very little to do with drugs and alcohol. It has way more to do with cognitive thinking, about your consequences, thinking about choices, behavior. And they tried to, I mean, they did. They knocked me over the head so many times in RDAP that I came so close so many times to getting kicked out of the program because of my character flaws. You're required in RDAP to hold others accountable. In the morning meeting, which they have every day, Monday through Friday, there's a section of that meeting that's called pull-ups. Like a pull-up on a pull-up bar, except this is a pull-up where I'm going to stand up in the morning meeting. They're going to go, does anybody have a pull-up? And I'm going to raise my hand. They're going to call my name, maybe. And if they call my name, I tell them my name is Wise, RDAP, participant, phase 1. Mr. Joe, I would like to pull you up today. You have no idea this shit's coming. And you're looking at me like, what the fuck? I'm Joe, yesterday I saw you behind the handball court smoking a cigarette. You know that that's against BOP policy. You're in RDAP, which you're held to a higher standard. Now I got to tell you what you're struggling with, and I do this in front of 150 people. And you got to sit there and take it, and you can't get in your feelings because how you respond is more important than what you actually did. It's a real hard mental feat to get over knowing you have to tell on people in an environment where telling on people is against prison policy.
Right.
That is by far the hardest thing about RDAP.
Let me say something real quick. What you're talking about right now, this residential drug addiction program, is exactly what re-entry in the state system is like. I mean, it's verbatim, the pull-ups. I mean, they do that. You've got these write-ups, these pull-ups. You've got prisoner police who basically go around and police other prisoners. I've talked about this a lot on After Prison Show and other videos. And so I had no idea that this RDAP program was it's just like what the re-entry program in state prison is like. The difference with it is here in the state of Virginia, I served 2.5 years in this what would be considered RDAP in the federal system. So here in Virginia, when you go into re-entry, it can be anywhere up to 2.5, 3 years that you're going through the exact same thing that you're talking about right there. And you're right, it's an absolute mental fucking mind fuck to just think about you're in prison and they're not only wanting you to tell on other prisoners, but all the other prisoners are supposed to be doing the same damn thing. It's crazy. So that is what RDAP stands for, obviously.
Yeah. And I've heard that before. You know, they just, different prisons, different states, different counties, they just give it a different name, basically. But it's not easy, man. And anybody that says that you wouldn't do it, or I'm not, there's plenty of inmates that are like, I won't take RDAP. It's like, yeah, you don't qualify for it. Nobody in the right fucking mind isn't going to go take the program that's going to give you a potential year off of your sentence.
Right.
Now, once you get into the program and you get halfway through it, you start seeing the benefits and how it's changing your life. So now you're taking it for the right reasons. But almost everybody that enters in it is for the simple fact they want time off. That's one of the biggest reasons people hire me, is to make sure that they can qualify for that program. Because if you don't say the right things during your PSR interview within the right date ranges, you will not qualify for that program, and you can't take it. You can't get the time off. And lawyers don't explain it right. Just nobody knows. The information online isn't explained right. So that's the biggest reason that people come in find me.
That's just unbelievable. And another difference between state and federal, in the state system where it's reentry and in the federal it's RDAP, in the state, you get no time off for this. This is just a requirement. Now you either take it or you buck on it and you go up to the higher levels, your 3s, your 4s. You might even end up at a level 5 for this. I mean, here in the state of Virginia, that's how it can work. But I mean, at least in the federal system, there's an incentive to take it if you qualify for it. That you could get a year off of your sentence. Hell, if I could have got a year off of my sentence, I would have been pulling everybody up. Dan, I got a pull up. You're going down, Dan. I need this year, man.
I got my fair share of pull-ups, brother. I got hit more times than I can count.
Man, that's crazy, man. So, you're preparing these guys to go to prison, and are there individuals that reach out to you that you just can't help?
Yeah, there's two kinds of people that I can't help. Number one is they've already been sentenced and they're waiting to self-surrender, and they found out they didn't put the right information into their PSR. When the probation officer asked them about substance use, they freaked out and said, "No, I've never used drugs," because they thought that was going to cause them more harm than good. But now that's documented in their PSR. Meanwhile, reality is they may have been a fucking meth head that didn't explain it. But because it didn't go into their PSR, they're screwed. They can't. There's no time off. There's nothing they can do. So the only thing I can help them maybe do is get some additional halfway house, which is a struggle. So typically, I'll just tell them, look, if you got some questions, call me up. When you get into prison, add me to the prison email system. I'm not going to charge you just to give you some better feeling energy, but I wouldn't feel comfortable charging somebody like that. The second person that is not my ideal candidate is somebody that just wants help with like personal narratives, character reference letters, maybe getting into RDAP, but they don't want to start changing their thinking. They don't want to go through the exercises. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to explain to their family. They'll tell me, "I've got that all figured out. I don't need your help with that." I need to have a communication with you. I need to be able to have that bond where you and I can chat, and when you're having a bad day, call me, because that's what's going to get you going through this. When people don't recognize that and they think they got it all figured out, it's not going to be an ideal situation, because if anything goes wrong, then they're going to blame me when they use me at the right point. So I don't even want that kind of a fucking headache. There's plenty of other prison consultants out there that will gladly take that kind of money and tell him what he wants to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, I can believe there's probably some sharks in the water when it comes to dealing with these prison consultants. And again, I don't know a damn thing about it, but it's unbelievable learning about this and seeing that you've been able to go through the system for the things that led up to you being locked up, serving your time, going through the federal halfway house, and then coming home and being able to at least try to give back in some way. Definitely charging a lot less than other prison consultants, and trying to help these guys get ready and possibly get a little bit of time off their sentence, if at all that's possible, by getting that program.
Amen. That's what it all is right there, man.
Dude, that's awesome. So, like, how many people do you help on like a daily basis? Talk about that.
I would say I probably get an average of 7 to 10 calls per day. They don't all turn into clients, obviously. A lot of them just have some basic questions that I'm going to just answer for them, or send them some free information or send them to a video that might help them. But I would say we're probably bringing on an average of like 1 to 3 clients a day. It's turned into something that I never imagined it turning into. So we're definitely helping way more people than I ever thought I would be able to help. And it's my girlfriend's involved in this. We've got about 6 people that are part of our team. We've got some of the best narrative writers in the industry that completely take a client's letter and redo it to make sure that it's prepared properly for a judge to have that impact that the client is intending. So we get to do amazing things all day long, including making YouTube videos, having a great time doing it, and able to get paid. To me, life, it's not about how much money I'm going to make. It's about I'm able to survive doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't change this for $1 million. I would not. Somebody said, "I'll give you $1 million right now to stop doing what you're doing."
Dude, that's unbelievable, man. Well, you don't find it too often where you go to prison, you come home, and you're able to find a job that you really enjoy, let alone doing something that you've created from scratch. And it helps so many people that it does, man. I mean, definitely a major respect to you for doing what you're doing out there, man.
Well, Joe, that's why, when I found your YouTube channel about maybe 8 months ago now, just scrolling through YouTube, and you popped up, and I'm like, well, who's this guy? He went to prison. He's got a YouTube channel, and immediately, man, I followed your story from the beginning and realized, like, the difference between you and I are you've been in and out of trouble. You had like a troubled youth where I didn't have that. I made a mistake. I knew right away that I'm never going to do this again and not go back to prison. Where you got to break the cycle and actually do something different with your life that you weren't used to. And because you've done that, I don't know if you know what an inspiration you are to people out there right now that are like, man, I can't change my life. Because if they're watching your YouTube channel, they're watching somebody that has completely changed their life to give information out and content and help other people. So you're helping people. Maybe you just don't know it and see it like that, but you definitely are, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying so. I mean, it's definitely good to run across people in the similar wheelhouse as, being in prison, coming home, getting your life back together, and to hear the way that, you receive After Prison Show is the same exact way that I receive RDAP Dan. I mean, I'm inspired by it. I'm motivated by it. It almost renews a passion in me, or like reignites a passion and a fire inside of me to want to go out there and try to save the world, man. I'm thinking about going and getting a bulldozer tomorrow, just going and crushing through some prison fences. Thinking that might be a good way to start.
I think you and I got out relatively about the same time too. When did you get out?
October of 2015.
Yeah, I got out October 2015 as well.
What day?
The big difference is you've got about 500,000 more subscribers than me.
I'm just better looking, Dan. All that working out that you're doing over there, that shit's for the birds, man. Girls these days, well, I mean, you got you a girl, I got me a girl too, but the women out there, they like the bedroom body and the gray hair, I guess. I don't know. I'm fucking with you. But what you got right there, man?
That smoker's cough. They dig it.
They like the smoker's cough, man.
That's the first week I got there. That's what I looked like going into prison.
Dude, you look like you're over
you look like guy in the middle.
You look like a Navy SEAL or something in that picture, man. What are you, fucking SEAL Team 6 over there? I mean, look at the beard.
No, really, you want to know what that is? That's because I didn't know what to expect, and I figured if I look really grisly and dirty, nobody's going to want to rape me. That's honestly why I grew out that fucking beard. Never had a beard like that in my life.
That'll just give them something to hold on to if they really wanted that shit, but no. Dude, you look like you should have been.
6 months later.
You should have been a freaking. You should have been a fitness instructor, man. I mean, look at you right there, man. That is.
I don't have patience for that.
That's a bona fide prison pic right there with the little pose and everything, man.
Yeah, it sure was. And everybody said that when I was taking it. But I took a picture every week because I was monitoring my progress. So every week I took a picture like an asshole.
No, I mean, that's what you got to do. It keeps you motivated, keeps you focused. And to be able to go back and look at those pictures now to see like the progression, the transformation while locked up, that's got to be a really amazing. It's just got to be really amazing to see that, man. Especially considering you were 240 pounds.
Yeah, I read all my letters. I wrote a letter home every single day that I was in prison. Didn't miss a letter. I would write Monday through Sunday, and then every Sunday I would mail out a bunch of letters home. So I've got a stack of letters. Half of them were to myself. I'd write the letters, "Dear future Dan, if you're reading this letter right now and you're thinking about doing something stupid, remember this moment." Because I was so terrified of, fuck, man, if I ever make a mistake again, I'm not going to get so lucky this time. I'm going to get more time. And I do not want to live my life like this.
Dude, you should do a video of you reading those letters to yourself. I mean, that would be... I'm giving you some gold right here, okay? That's a hit. Do a fucking video, letters I wrote to myself from prison, and just be reading some of them letters off and talking about what you were going through in those moments. And I'm telling you, people enjoy seeing that type of stuff. They like and it'll motivate people. Maybe there's people out there, because we got a lot of young people here on After Prison Show who tell me all the time, they're like, look, it's because of After Prison Show, I want to change my ways. I don't want to fuck up. I mean, you never know who you could reach just by reading off some letters that you wrote to yourself while you were serving time, man.
It's actually a good idea. My girlfriend said I should do the same thing. Some embarrassing shit in there, I'm not going to lie.
Embarrassing sells, man. I'm not going to tell you. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I embarrass myself on a daily basis here on YouTube. I don't even, sometimes I look back on this shit and I'm just like, why the fuck did I just tell that story about Cherry? Why? Why did I tell a story about a guy who probably touched my butt while I was asleep? But you know,
hey, I am going to ask you for a shameless plug. So my best friend sent me a text while we're doing this, and he said, "I bet you don't get 100 subscribers from doing this. And if you do, he's going to send me $500. So I'll send you half of that, Joe. If your guys come over and jump over to my channel, I get to take $500 from my best friend. He's the same one that gave me the job."
Cody, plug RDAP Dan right now. Everybody go subscribe to RDAP Dan. He's got a monster video on the way of him reading letters that he wrote to himself from prison. Can you imagine what these letters are going to say? Dear future self, I saw a guy today behind in the shower.
There's a letter in there about this guy named something Levine who used to catch spiders and bugs. He would cut them up and he would put them in a peanut butter jar with olive oil, salt, and pepper, and microwave it and eat it because he was curious on what these different bugs tasted like. He found a dead wolf spider with a bunch of baby eggs in it. He sauteed the fucking wolf spider eggs and ate them. I mean, I just read some letters the other night, and it's just some crazy shit that people do in prison when they're just so shut out and they've been there so long.
Man, I'm ready for this video, Dan. You got to make this video. I need to see this. I mean, that's
done.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, and you're right, too, what you're saying, though. When you're locked up, I mean, people just do this fucking craziest shit. You'll never see this anywhere else. I mean, you couldn't find this fucking shit on World Star, where you can find everything, it seems to be. But, like, the shit that people do in prison, you're right. I mean, time fucks people up, man. And you either are able to adapt to that time and try to make positive changes throughout it, or you adapt to it in a negative way and you just become a part of the environment that you're in, chaos, craziness, basically living that revolving cycle. If you come home, you got a good chance of going back, or you end up just crazier than a motherfucker. It's almost a very hard thing to really skirt that line.
You know, I bet similar to state prison, I bet you've seen some of the most artistic people when it comes to natural born gifts. That's like, wow, this talent is so wasted in prison. We had leather shop, and these guys would make women's purses and backpacks. I had a purse made for my girlfriend that got sent home when she got released, and it's the most amazing purse I've ever seen that this guy made for like $20 with a matching wallet out of, you know, ostrich skin. I should have pulled that out of here and showed it to you for the video, but talent in prison is outstanding. It's such a waste.
You should do a video about that, showing off the purse and talking about that type of stuff. People like to know what it's like in there, whether they're going to experience it, whether they never experience it. I mean, you can't get it any more real than from somebody who's actually been there to experience it themselves. And I mean, I know, Dan, you got a lot of stories to tell, especially with all those letters. I'm sure you brought home a ton of stuff as well, like the purse and everything like that, man. So, you know, I would encourage you to do those type of videos. Let me give it to you from a guy who's, I've done those type of videos. I've seen that they can work, and I think they could have some success for you as well. And I'm hoping that we've got a lot of After Prison Show supporters here who are going to go rock with RDAP Dan because he definitely deserves it. Good guy. You know, and I want to say something real quick as I'm jumping all over the place. I do apologize for the audio on this. You can, this is just a Google Hangouts call. Dan is all the way over across the world from me, basically, over in Washington State doing this. And this was the easiest way we could do this. After Prison Show couldn't fly out there. We couldn't fly you out here, Dan. I do apologize. Hopefully sometime next year, either you can fly me out or I can fly you out. One way or another, we do this. We do the follow-up.
Absolutely. We'll take the APS jet.
The APS jet or the RDAP Dan jet. Whatever jet we have, it has to be completely wrapped in either one. Can we get a jet wrapped? Not that we would ever be able to afford one, but you know. But look, Dan, how long have we been on here, man? About an hour?
Hour and 20.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I greatly appreciate you coming on here and doing this thing, man. And I hope that a lot of people, I hope everybody was able to hear this as clearly as I want them to. I'm going to go back and look at this after we wrap this up. And if this isn't clear, then we're going to do this again, but we're going to do it via a video. I know you want to do an interview with me. I'm very nervous about that. I have to say that, you know, I don't do too well getting nervous. I mean, getting interviewed. I tend to fucking tense up like, you know, that first day in prison tense up. I'm like,
gotta get out of your box, Joe. Get out of that comfort zone.
But again, man, look, Dan, I do greatly appreciate what you're doing. I want you guys to go check out RDAP Dan. If anybody's facing time in federal prison, this is the man that can help you right here. I mean, to be able to think that you serve this time, you come home and you're freaking out here trying to help guys get this RDAP program that is horrible, but in federal prison get you a year off of your sentence at least. I hope people will contact you from this, and I don't want this to be the last video that we do, Dan. I want to be able to continue to do some follow-ups with you. I'm going to be looking for that letter video. I need that video ASAP, man. You got to get that up, man. When can I expect that video?
I can commit to starting those letters next week for you, Joe.
Ha! I'll be waiting for that notification that says letters from federal prison that I wrote to myself. You should do the thumbnail. Never mind. I'm not gonna tell you too much crazy shit because, you know, if it was me, I would be butt naked in the thumbnail with a bunch of paper in my lap, like. Oh my God. But look, Dan, we're gonna wrap this thing up, man, because you know, we could go on all day about this, but hopefully this was good enough with the audio. If not, when I check it, we will be doing a follow-up. I hope to see a ton of After Prison Show supporters rocking with you now. And I hope you win that bet. Dan said that if he gets how many subscribers?
I needed 100, but...
Dan needs 100 subscribers to win a bet. And his buddy owes him $500. We got to get Dan this 100 subscribers. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to see from this. Dan, I greatly appreciate your time rocking with us. You got to go subscribe to Dan anyways. I mean, look at the shirt he's wearing, for God's sakes. He's got the RDAP Dan Supports After Prison Show t-shirt on. I'm getting me a shirt that says After Prison Show. After Prison Show Supports RDAP Dan. Look at you, man. You ain't got to flex for me, man. I know you're a big dude, man. Hey, look, man. Dan, I greatly...
I really appreciate you having me on, man. I had an absolute blast. APS fan for life. So, again, brother, thank you very much. It's an amazing opportunity.
Dude, and it's an amazing opportunity as well. I look forward to working with you in the future. And who knows, After Prison Show, RDAP Dan, look for a collaboration coming real soon with something. Who the hell knows? You know, as we get out of here, I just want to say that, you know, we greatly appreciate having you on here, man.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, talk to you later, man. Peace.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Old Dan from RDAP Dan. What do you guys think about that right there? I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope the audio was okay. Cody, can you let me know how we were looking over there? Like, did we have people rocking with us on this?
Yeah, I can see YouTube's half broke right now, so...
YouTube is half broke right now.
Yeah, half of it works for live stream, half of it doesn't. Everybody's getting, like, errors on live streams.
Ain't that about a bitch? So how many people rocked with us on this thing?
About 5 to 6.
Oh, man. You know, we do the big streams and then, you know, we have problems with YouTube. I swear I'm going to start my own YouTube somewhere else. I'm just kidding. But look, I hope for those of you who did rock with us on this thing, you did enjoy that. RDAP Dan, really awesome individual right there. Dude's doing a hell of a lot of good things out there, helping guys prepare to go to prison. And I mean, it really motivates me and what I do here with the After Prison Show, what all of us do here with the After Prison Show. I want to do some good as well. I want to continue to do more good. If you guys joined us late, Dan served 13 months in federal prison, served 11 months in a federal halfway house, combined like 24 months altogether, and came home and just started doing prison consulting, helping individuals prepare for prison. If you joined us late, we also had some announcements in this live stream saying that today we did go pay Dave's paid lawyer in full. So Dave now has the paid lawyer on his case, the best lawyer in this city who can represent him when it comes to his court date that's coming up next month. So we got that going on. And yeah, RDAP Dan, man, really awesome guy. I hope you guys go subscribe to this guy. He definitely deserves the support. Big Steen, rock with you most of the time. Peace. Shout out to you, Big Steen. Appreciate you being here, man. I honestly don't know how long we're going to do this for. I'm probably going to end up wrapping this thing up because that was what this was going to be all about right here. Again, I have to say this. I do hope that the audio came through okay. I know we were having some issues with the Google Hangouts thing. I hate the fact that that YouTube wasn't working for us. I don't think YouTube ever really works for us too well these days. It kind of is unfortunate. We got a shit ton of awesome content on the way this weekend. I got another major announcement that I haven't even had a chance to tell you guys about just yet. You're going to find out about that this weekend. I did something really fucking amazing this weekend. I mean, really amazing just today. So you guys are going to see that this weekend. RDAP Dan, shout out to you, man. Thank you, brother. And I do hope that everybody goes and rocks with RDAP Dan as well. Major announcement coming this weekend. I got a video I'm trying to put together from a fan of After Prison Show who sent me a ton of videos telling his story. You guys are going to be blown away when you hear this. I do hope that these videos are going to be able to paint the picture of what this guy has been through. That could potentially be coming this weekend as well. Matteo Bramwell, shout out to you, man. Thank you for rocking with us. So we got that video coming, and there was another announcement that I made earlier also. After Prison Show is looking for After Prison Show correspondents. If you're out there and you have a story that you want to tell, or you know a story that we should be telling here, go out there and film it, and it could potentially be on After Prison Show. I don't know why I'm still using this as the mic. Miss Dutchie, shout out to you. Great interview. Thank you. Shout out to you. It really means a lot having you here. But yeah, that was about it. I wanted to do this live. I wanted to do this interview live. I was trying to incorporate having you guys ask questions with that. I do apologize. We weren't really able to incorporate that too well. And I do apologize for the sound issues that we may have had. And I do apologize for YouTube being fucked up. And I do hope that you guys did enjoy Tommy from yesterday's video. I know a lot of people didn't like him, but I do apologize. I just feel like I'm apologizing a lot at this point. Hey, look, that's it. We're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to get out of here because we got a lot of stuff coming this weekend, and I hope you will rock with us. Continue to rock with us because we got major things on the way. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday. I don't know what time it is where you are, but wherever you are and whatever time it is, I hope your Friday has been awesome, and I hope your Friday will continue to be awesome if there's still Friday left for you. And if Friday's over, and to everybody, I hope you have an amazing weekend. I look forward to talking to you guys again real soon. We will be doing this again next week. This is sort of like After Prison Show podcast. So yeah, let's keep it up. Till next time.